Comrade, all have muted their mics. Okay, comrades, can we start now?
Yeah.
Whether all are hearing my voice?
Sir, sir.
Okay. Comrades, as per the decision of the All India Postal and RMS Pensioners Association, once in 3 months we are organizing a seminar. Last time on 17th December, we have organized the seminar where our veteran comrade Krishnan was one of the leaders who presented a valuable document on NPS system. Now we are holding the second seminar after 3 months. Comrade Krishna Rao, General Secretary, Karnataka PNT Pensioners Association, a veteran pensioner leader. During his service days also he was a leader of the postal masses. Now he got very good experience with the SCOVA also. He had kindly consented to address on this issue, present the main paper on this issue. The topic of the seminar we have given today is efficacy of SCOVA and pensioners portal and the urgent need of the government to frame recognition rules for pensioners organizations. This is the main topic of today, the seminar topic of today. We have requested many senior leaders also. Comrade KK Kutty has come. Comrade Nambudri has come and he has urgently gone to attend a important meeting. He will come back, I hope. And there are many Central Working Committee members. Our All India President, Comrade Raghate, is also expected. So I welcome all of you on behalf of the Central Headquarters at the outset. Before requesting our main speaker to present the paper on the topic, I would like to pay condolence and request all of you to pay condolence to two important leaders who have passed away recently, belonging to our own organization. One is Comrade M. Krishnan, executive member of the AIPRPA CHQ. He was also the ex-Secretary General of NFPE, ex-Secretary General of Confederation, and also held many other positions in Kerala. And he had played a very, very important role in building the working class movement in the country. He had passed away on 1st of March. Another leader, Senior Vice President of AIPRPA CHQ, Comrade T. Narasimhan at Hyderabad. He also passed away suddenly by cardiac arrest during the month of February. We have lost these two very senior leaders belonging to our own organization. And you know very well, there are many district level, state level, our own office bearers and members who have passed away during this time. And also many veterans, many dignitaries of various important fields, art, culture, politics, and so many other fields. Many of those individuals who have passed away also during this period, they require that we pay our proper homage to them. So at the outset, I will be glad that all of you maintain a minute's silence in memory of all those comrades whom we have lost recently. I request all of you to pay 1 minute silence.
Konda.
Okay,
அதான் கொடுங்க.
comrades, you can sit down. Comrades, now we are going into the topic. Comrade K.B. Krishna Rao, as I have already pointed out, is a very important leader of the pensioners movement. He is General Secretary of Karnataka PNT Pensioners Association, and he is also associated long time with the SCOVA movement. I would not like to speak on any of the issues because the main paper Comrade Krishna Rao will present, and at the end all of the comrades can raise their questions also in the chat. There is a chat option. You can raise your questions in the chat option. Comrade Krishna Rao also can view the questions and he can answer them. And finally, as General Secretary of All India Postal and RMS Pensioners Association, I would like to conclude. In between, any senior leaders like Comrade KKN Kutti, Comrade Nambudiri, if they want to add anything, they can definitely add their points also. Now I am glad to request Comrade K.B. Krishna Rao, General Secretary of Karnataka PNT Pensioners Association, to present the main paper on the topic today, on the topic of the seminar today. I request Comrade Krishna Rao. Now he can start. Thank you, Comrade.
Thank you, Comrade PR. Respected Comrade Chairman and dear comrades, it gives me great pleasure to be one of the participants in the seminar today, in which a galaxy of great PNT trade union leaders, leaders of other central government organizations, and leaders of various pensions associations in the country are present. Comrade V.A.N. Nambudiri, Comrade K.K.N. Kutti, and others are also, I'm extremely glad that they are also participating in today's webinar. I'm grateful to Comrade Raghavendran, GS AIPRPA, CHQ, for giving me an opportunity to be amongst you, although not physically, but through the video conferencing. I'm thankful to him for asking me to speak on the subject, efficacy of SCOVA and pensions portal, and the urgent need to frame recognition rules for pensioners by the government, for pensions associations by the government. I'm quite aware that I'm addressing an enlightened audience comprising of leaders who have championed the cause of employees and pensioners for many decades and have represented the employees and pensioners in different fora, discussing multifarious issues concerning their welfare. The subject matter today's discussion, efficacy of SCOVA, pensions portal, and the need for recognition rules to pensions associations, is too wide a subject, and it may take some time for me to present my views on that. Please bear with me if I take a little time more than you expect. However, I shall make every effort to place my views on the topic given to me by Comrade Kya. Let me first speak about the Standing Committee of Voluntary Agencies, SCOVA, in its short form. Before commenting on its efficacy, that is, its ability to produce the desired or intended results, how effective it is in bringing the results that we hoped for, and whether the objectives of establishing a mechanism like that of SCOVA have been accomplished. Today's topic requires us to take a closer look at these aspects. But before that, let us first trace the background of its constitution and its objectives. Constitution scope. SCOVA was constituted by the Government of India, Department of Pensions Welfare in 1986 on the recommendations of the Parliamentary Consultative Committee. SCOVA as a forum. SCOVA is a forum for holding consultations with the stakeholders, that is the pensioners, through their associations and concerned ministries, departments of the Government of India. As a forum, SCOVA provides the pensioners associations an opportunity for raising issues concerning pensions welfare directly before the concerned ministries, departments, etc. It can therefore be said that SCOVA is a mechanism for consultations with or representation by the members of the pensioners associations. Membership of SCOVA. The membership of SCOVA, as perhaps all of you know, consists of 15 non-official members represented by the pensioners associations from various ministries, department, regions, etc., 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 of which 5 will be in the standing group and 10 in the rotating group. The standing group would serve for 3 terms of 2 years each. The rotating group would serve for 1 term of 2 years and would be eligible for reselection for 1 more term. On the official side, the Secretary, Department of Pension and Pensions Welfare is the convener and member secretary. The department is under the Ministry of Personal Public Grievances and Pensions, which is directly under the charge of the Prime Minister himself, assisted by a Minister of State who is the chairman and presides over SCOVA meetings. Dr. Jitendra Singh is the minister at present. Representing various ministries, departments of Government of India are its members. Officers not below the rank of Joint Secretary are supposed to attend the meeting. The ministries, departments that usually their departments in Goa, usually these are the most important departments that usually attend the meetings. One is a CPO, that is CPAO, the Department of Post, Department of Telecom, Department of Financial Services, Department of Expenditure, Controller General of Defense Accounts, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Departments of Ex-Servicemen Welfare, Ministry of Railways, Ministry of Home Affairs, etc., etc., and NIC. And nomination of pensioners associations to SCOVA. This is another important subject that we would like to deliberate on today. Pensioners associations identified by the Department of Pension and Pensions Welfare are being associated with the implementation of a web-based pensioners portal under the National E-Governance Plan are usually nominated to SCOVA. At present, there are 44 such identified associations in the country. Out of these 44, 5 are nominated to the standing group to serve for 3 terms of 2 years each, and 10 associations to the rotating group to serve for 1 term of 2 years. And they would be eligible for 1 more term. So, associations nominated to standing group will be in SCOVA for 6 years, and on completion of their term will be out of SCOVA for another 6 years. Similarly, associations in the rotating group will be in SCOVA for 4 years, and on completion of their terms will be out of SCOVA for another 4 years. There is no guarantee that the association should be renominated or nominated again after a break of equal number of years of their membership of SCOVA. Are there any norm? Now let us question, are there any norms for selection of non-official members, that is the pensioners associations? There seems to be none. They are selected at random. Supposedly, by a committee in the Department of Pension. While my submission is not either or derived any pension association in the country nominated to SCOVA now or in the past. It would be in the larger interest of that associate large membership and have been serving the cause of pensioners for a considerable period of time and have established themselves in the committee of pensions associations in the country are considered for membership of SCOVA. I strongly believe that apart from pensions associations, it is all the more important that leaders of trade unions of central government employees who represent staff side in NCJC, leaders of the coordination committees of central government employees and workers, and the leaders who head the apex bodies of pensions associations like NCCP, who have been steadfast championing the cause of pensioners, are nominated as permanent invitees to SCOVA. Pensioners' demands are being invariably included in the charter documents whenever a call for registration is given by the unions. Representatives of staff side, NCJC, were attending these SCOVA meetings till the 26th meeting held on 3/2/2015. Legendary leaders like the late lamented Comrade S.K. Vyas and Comrade Umraul Purohit attended meetings until the 24th meeting.
Comrade, somebody is using the telephone. Kindly remove the telephone from the phone. Some sound is coming from some comrade.
Shall I continue?
Yes, comrade.
Okay, Comrade is the legendary leaders like the late lamented Comrade S.K. Vyas and Comrade Umraul Purohit attended the meetings until the 24th. Subsequent meetings, 20 and 26, were attended by Comrade Shivgopal Mishra, the present Secretary Staff side NCJC. From October 2015 onwards, that to attend the SCOVA meeting, that is 24th, 25th, where Comrade S.K. Vyas was also present. About that, when I raised a particular issue, that is regarding grant of grade pay of 4,600 to HSC postmaster. That issue was pending in SCOVA for almost 3-4 years, 5-6 years. The first item was notified in 2013, and we got the orders on 9/7/2009. So say for 6 years it was pending. Comrade S.K. Vyas, whenever this issue was raised, when the Department of Expenditure, Joint Secretary level officer who was attending that meeting, he said that it is not acceptable because they had not worked in the upgraded post. As all of you know, the post of HSU1 postmaster were upgraded a scale of 7450, 11,500 for 1/1/2006. So their contention was that those who have not worked in the upgraded post, how can they ever climb that higher grade pay? As presentation was so beautiful, he commented, I understand, yes, even consider that the post has been upgraded now. Don't you know that the same persons, they were working in the same post prior to 2006 also. They were holding the same post, they were carrying out the same duties and the same responsibilities. That you had deprived them of a higher pay scale for all those years. Why not you give that at least now? So that was such a beautiful presentation and supporting the cause of HSU postmasters by corporate SK Gas. Just, just as an incident, I quoted this. So it is expedient. Let me now continue with the presentation. It is expedient that apart from the existing 15 pensions associations selected by the Department of Pension and Pensions Welfare, permanent invitees to the meeting, the representatives of Council JCM or the COC and the NCCPA, the apex body for all the pensions associations in the country. Now that BCPC is not there now. I will do that also later in my speech or presentation. They must also be added to the list of participants as permanent invitees. Why I demand that they should be permanent invite to the meeting is that, supposing they are invited as either in the standing group or in the rotating group, they have only a fixed term of say 3 years, 2 years, 4 years, 6 years like that. So that has happened now. NCGS is not there in the SCOVA after completing their term of 6 years. Also, many other associations like AFPA, Chennai, BPS, Railway Federation, etc., and so many other federations also are not there. Only because they had completed their term of 6 years in the standing group. Many other associations who had completed their term of 4 years in the rotating group are not there in SCOVA today. So that is the reason why I say that our leaders, the pension leaders, they should be permanent invitees to the JCM, to the SCOVA meeting, irrespective of the fact whether they are nominated in the standing group or the rotating group. By such an action at the Department of Pension, SCOVA thereby basis of SCOVA to facilitate representation to all the stakeholders who have been championing the cause of community. So this is how the SCOVA should be brought this. The objectives. So the objectives are like this. One, provide a feedback on program implementation of process and programs in the Department of Pensions Welfare to discuss and critically examine the policy and to mobilize voluntary efforts to supplement the government action. And number 4, to promote constructive discussion. Separate Department of Pensions. A separate Department of Pensions or Pensions Welfare, it was not there at all. It was only
Good morning.
welfare of pensioners to government. Sri Rajiv Gandhi, who took over as Prime Minister of India in 1980, a dignified name as senior citizens for those aged 60 above was also coined during this period. The recommendations of the Central Pay Commissions on the working of SCOVA. The 4th Pay Commission, constituted in July 1983, in its report submitted in 1986, has made the following recommendations on the working of SCOVA. They say, the Pay Commission says like this. In our view, pensioners represent man rich in experience and talent. We should be properly used in the nation. Constitutional scope assumes significance. We would, however, government may examine the objectives 2 and 3. What is the number 2? To discuss and critically examine the policy initiatives. And number 3, to mobilize voluntary efforts to supplement the government action. The Pay Commission recommended that these 2 objectives should be further broad-based, so as to highlight the various problems of the pensioners, like social welfare, health education, rural development, urban improvement, etc. The fifth CPC, in its report submitted in 1997, 97 to this, has made the following observations or recommendations, you may call them. Why did para 141? With the fifth CPC are rather more comprehensive than the recommendations of the fourth pay commission. The fifth CPC, with a view to providing an effective form to the pensioners and their associations, we feel that SCOVA should meet more frequently and at least once in 3 months. We are also of the view that SCOVA should be a multi-tier institution and should have the same machinery for implementing the decisions taken in the case of JCM, including that of reference to board of arbitration wherever disagreement is recorded, and the requirement of going to Parliament where a particular body is not to be implemented. Unless SCOVA becomes an effective institution for providing redress of disputes and complaints with respect to pensionary matters, courts would continue to be flooded with petitions. They also said the Department of Pension Welfare may evolve a suitable mechanism to regulate the number of pension associations, and identify effective words. I repeat, the Department of Pension Welfare may evolve a suitable mechanism to regulate the number of pensions associations, identify words which only should be consulted on policy matters concerning the pensioner community. 6th and 7th CPC did not make any recommendation on scope. Now let us come to efficacy of scope, as Comrade Raghavendran wanted us to examine today. Let me now dwell on how effective the mechanism is in producing the desired result. Whether the purpose of the mechanism like that of SCOVA has been fully accomplished. No doubt, it has definitely provided a forum for pensioners who otherwise would have been rendered voiceless. I have to say without any hesitation that the voice of pensioners is heard in the meetings, as has been experienced by me in the meetings that I have attended. Associations do participate in the discussions, given an opportunity to speak on the agenda items also. And further, their submissions are carefully listened to. But as a forum, statutory authority, the decisions taken in the even of discussion are not binding on the department, on any department for that matter, and are not enforceable.
Comrade Kishara, 1 second. Sorry for interruption. 1 second. Comrades, all participants were several times requested to mute their mic. But still we are hearing background noises. All are requested kindly to mute their mic. Except the speaker, nobody will unmute their mics. Kindly mute the mic. Comrade Kishara, yes, you can proceed.
Thank you, Comrade Kyar. But as a form, I would like to repeat because there was some disturbance. But as a form, still some background music, some background topic. Anyway, I'll proceed. Even after a good deal of discussion, are not binding on the department are not enforceable. This is my experience. In one of the meetings, even the representative of the department, I would not like to mention the name of the department, here, like just to generalize this. One of the representative of the department can say, he agrees in principle with the demand raised by the association. He said in short terms, in clear terms, he said he agrees in principle with the demand raised by the pensions association. But the concerned department that is why the decision taken in the SCOVA are not enforceable. They promise, but they take their own time to implement. Therefore, it is therefore imperative that SCOVA must be accorded a status like that of and there should be a provision for arbitrate over a particular issue pursued in scope. Meetings, periodicity, and the agenda. In the initial stages of SCOVA, meetings were being held somewhat at close intervals, but without any agenda. Minutes of the meeting and action taken reports were not circulated. Now, meetings are being held once or twice in a year, or sometimes only once in a year. However, an agenda with the items suggested by the members of taken up for discussion, meetings and action taken reports are being circulated. Recently, the minutes before uploaded to the pensions portal website, they are circulated to the members of SCOVA, and additions and alterations, if any, suggested by the association are also taken to before finalizing the minutes and uploaded to the website. It is a very good development of late. It is important to know that all items, issues suggested by the association are not included, and only some items, issues selected by DOP and PW are taken up for discussions. I understand that there is a committee in the department which decides on the items or issues which are to be included in the agenda, selected from the items suggested by the associations. From our associations, I used to notify so many subjects for every SCOVA meeting. But we understand because of the time constraints that they cannot include all the items that we suggest. At least I am glad that one or two items that we had suggested were included in the agenda items. We were also successful in getting the results in respect to few items that we had. The meetings are held for, regarding time constraint, the meetings are held for about 3 hours, usually between 11 and 2 p.m. Considering the number of the agenda and the importance of the subject, action reports, the items and fresh items of the day's agenda are taken up at the positive time. The fresh items not be possible sometimes, and will have to be hurried through. What is session? I suggest of all the agenda and to allow meaningful, useful, and result-oriented discussions. Without any time constraints, the meeting must be held once in 3 months, preferably on predetermined dates. However, subject to change owing to exigencies. The meeting must be held for 5 to 6 hours in 2 intervals. Let me now speak on the objectives.
मेरे पास कुछ किताब एक्स्ट्रा आ गई
अच्छा अच्छा
तो ये मैं आप रख लूँ
Number 1.
नवंबर का
वो बांट देना ना ऑफिस में बांट देना हाँ और क्या
Is to provide a feedback on program implementation of courses or programs of the Department of Pension.
Comrade Krishna Rao, Comrade Krishna Rao, you have to unmute your mic. Comrade Krishna Rao has to unmute his mic. I have muted all speakers to stop the disturbance.
I think I should now. Okay. I think when it was muted, I don't know.
Now you can.
Then our I think I will now speak about the meetings, periodicity and the agenda. Did I mention that already?
It's all right. You can.
Okay. In the initial stages, SCOA meetings were being held somewhere at close intervals, but without any agenda. Minutes of the meeting and action taken reports were not circulated. But now, meetings are being held once or twice in a year, or sometimes only once in a year. However, an agenda with the items suggested by the members of SCOA is taken up for discussion. Minutes and action taken report are being circulated. It is important to know that all items issues suggested by the pensions associations are not included, and only some items issues selected by Department of POPW are taken up for discussions in the meeting. I understand that there is a committee in the department which decides on the items which are to be included in the agenda. Selected from the items suggested by the associations. The meetings are usually held for about 3 hours between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. And the time allotted is rather inadequate considering the number of items and the importance of action taken report and the items of the previous meetings is presented first, and fresh items of the day's agenda are taken up. Due to paucity of time, a detailed discussion on the fresh items will not be possible and will have to be hurried through. So my suggestion is this: to facilitate discussion of all the items notified the pension associations in the agenda, and to allow meaningful, useful, and result-oriented discussions. Without any time constraints, the meeting must be held once in every 3 months, preferably on predetermined dates. However, subject to change owing to exigencies. The meeting must be held for 5 to 6 hours in 2 intervals. Let me now speak on the objectives. Objective number 1, that is to provide feedback on program implementation of the process. The feedback, of course, must come from the pensions associations. A feedback on program implementation of DOP and PW can be given only by such of the associations who are very familiar with the policies enunciated by the government on pension matters and pensions welfare. In the meetings that I have attended, only a few associations were able to provide feedback on implementation of the recommendation of the 6th and 7th pay commissions and various other orders issued subsequently. We understand that more than 6 office memorandum were issued during the 6 CPC regime and about 4 under the 7 CPC regime. Feedback from the stakeholders definitely plays an important role in addressing the inadequacies or deficiencies in the system. And more importantly, the powers that be must lend an ear to the submissions made by the stakeholders. The second objective, to discuss and critically examine the policy initiatives. The 4 CPC has suggested that government must examine broad-basing this objective. But as of now, the Ministry of Personal and Public Service and Pensions and the Department of Pension, and which is the nodal department, decide on pension policy in consultation with the Ministry of Finance, Department of Expenditure, like that. In SCOA meetings, usually matters concerning implementation of orders already issued and fresh demands regarding pensionary benefits or medical facilities are discussed. It is therefore advisable that the department brings before the forum of SCOA its pension policy initiatives also, so that they receive the attention of the pensioners and are subjected to a critical examination by all concerned as enjoined in the objectives of SCOA. My suggestion is that representatives of NCJCM or the COC or the NCCP must be made permanent invitees to the meetings and pensioners associations with large membership base and have established their credibility over the years. The coordination committee of semi-government pensioners associations in the country, to which many pensioners associations are affiliated to, must be nominated to SCOA. This, my session assumes importance, and such measures is absolutely essential for achieving this important objective of SCOA. The third objective, to mobilize voluntary efforts to supplement the government action. The 4CPC observed that, in their view, pensioners represent manpower rich in experience and talent. We should be properly used in the nation building activities. The Honorable Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh, in many of these SCOA meetings, prizes pensioners, prizing the service of pensioners and pensioners association in the country. He has called upon pensioners to involve themselves in social work, telling them that they are only retired from service but are not tired. He said, you retire at the age of 60. Until 75, you have 15 years to go. So you can involve yourself in national building activities. Some pensioners associations and pensioners also have volunteered to extend their services from the pension department, which provides a platform for pensioners to access opportunities for useful intervention in the society. I would like to quote a few examples of the initiatives by the pensioners or the pension associations, the national building to support the cause of the government. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan or Clean India Mission. Here, I would like to, because I represent, I would like to mention one of the examples that we followed in Karnataka. The Coordination Committee of Central and the KPTA involve themselves in Bharat Abhiyan or Clean India Mission. Have been initiated by that was a massive movement. Pensioners indulge themselves in sweeping of roads, clearing clogged to ensure involvement of the general public and students. The Swachhata Jan, a program was arranged one cleaning and in and around school, procession by students and pensioners around school premises and in several wards to bring awareness on Swachh Bharat Mission by holding placards and flags. Another rather welfare measure that almost all the pensioners associations have participated. That is of a life certificate in the month of November. Digital life certificate. The Department of Pension also, they supplied us guidance to 10 to 15 pensioners associations in the country. They supplied those PAPs by which we could generate life certificate at the residence of. Now the latest is they have implemented another facility that is through face recognition, and we have nominated about of our members to be DLC operators. So they are now enabled to visit any pensioner and generate life certificate by using their mobile through face recognition. So the digital life certificate, it is yet another voluntary effort by the associations to supplement the government action. This is how we supplemented the Department of Pension or many of the CPAOs, PAOs, pension dispersing banks, pension dispersing post offices. Otherwise, here in Bangalore also, we assisted some of the post offices also in generating life certificate in respect of postal pensioners from their residences. So many pension associations in the country assisted pensioners, especially the aged and the infirm, in submission of their digital life certificates through Jeevan Praman portal from the comforts of their homes. Special DLC camps were held in cities even during the present pandemic COVID-19 situation in the country. Some associations, including KPTPA, continued with their services to pensioners and visited the residences of old pensioners and old age homes who needed help in submission of DLC. So now let me come to the fourth objective, to promote constructive discussion. Here I should say that discussions are allowed in the meetings. Whenever a representative of the association wishes to make any submission on the agenda items, he is allowed to speak and listen to also. The objective is to promote discussion. Hence, it is necessary that representatives are encouraged to actively participate in the discussion. Conclusion on SCOVA. In conclusion, in my submission to SCOVA, I would like to emphasize that, number one, SCOVA should be broad-based with nominations made to it from the associations well established and with large membership base, and coordination committees of Central Government Pensions Association, apart from the pensions representatives, nominees of NCJCL, COC, and the NCCPA must be permanent invitees to the meetings. Number two, there must be well-defined norms for nominating pension associations of selection at random. Three, if the present norms, that is a term of associations, either in the standing group or in the rotating group, if that is an hindrance, that I think that could be resolved by suitably amending the norms of the SCOVA. SCOVA, number three, SCOVA must be accorded a status like that of JCM, and there should be a provision for arbitration in the event of disagreement over a particular issue pursued in. Now, the second item, rather subject on which the efficacy has to be examined, as Comrade Raghavendran wanted me to do, that is about pensioners portal. Pensioners portal is a mission mode project of the pension department under the National E-Governance Plan that was established in 2007. It is primarily aimed at making the pension for retirement related information, services and grievances handling mechanism accessible online to the needy pensioners through a combination of interactive and non-interactive components, and thus help bridge the gap between the pensioners and the government. The portal is also expected to serve as a one-stop information of source for the pensioners of Government of India, especially the civil pensioners across the country. The objective, in pursuance of government's policy of accountable, transparent, and pensioner-centric it was decided to develop a comprehensive pensions portal to fulfill the following objectives. I would not like to go into detail about all the objectives of the pensions portal. I would like to mention only a few. One is to smooth the process of sanctioning and disbursement liability, enable ministries to pay the dues before the date of retirement. So this is not smoothen the process of sanctioning and disbursement of pension liability also. Of course, nowadays we do understand that at the date of retirement, the pension PPO is presented to the pensioner, but in some departments still we find that there is delay. Anyway, the other objective is to build effective grievance redress mechanism related to pensions. I would like to deal in detail about this particular objective later on in my speech. To keep the pensioners aware of their rights and responsibilities or obligations. To enable the pensions association to access information, lodge grievance on behalf of their members. This is an important objective, rather. Other others, other important non-interactive contents of the pension portal are to provide details of pension rules, procedures, pension circulars, orders, guidelines on welfare measures, uh, a glossary of common terms related to pension, pensioners, and brief information about various benefits to senior citizens, pension process map, etc., etc. On the frequently asked questions, on the calculator of the calculation of pension and family pension, gratuity, and limitation, etc. Pension payment order status accessible only through CPA, and online lodging and status inquiry of grievance by pensioners, submission of replies, clarification by the pensioners, etc. These are some other objectives. So the Department of Pension and Pension, they have identified 44 pension associations in the country for being associated with the implementation of web-based pensions portal. Karnataka BNT Pensions Association is one of them. Out of these 44, as I already mentioned, 50 are nominated. Now, let me say something on the efficacy of pensions portal as required in today's topic. The stated objectives, no doubt, are commendable. If the pensioners were able to get all the benefits or facilities narrated in the objectives, we could have been happier and we could have opined that the portal is fully serving its purposes. But the position as of now is somewhat different. No doubt, as a provider of information on all pension related matters, the portal is an excellent facility. All OMs circulars are regularly uploaded to the website. Pensioners can access relevant rules and forums required and can establish links to other websites also. Through FAQ, pensioners can ascertain information on pension process. The most important objective to build effective grievance redress mechanism related to pensioners needs to be reviewed, strengthened, and made desired result oriented. I press on that, desired result oriented. The centralized pension grievance redress and monitoring system, CPEN-GRAMS. The facility provided in the portal for registration grievances by pensioners and pensioners associations regarding pension and other matters is definitely helpful, since their grievances directly reach the authorities concerned who are supposed to resolve them. Many grievances registered with CPEN-GRAMS find resolution to the satisfaction of the pensioners if their claims are justified. But how about the role of DOP and PW? it is stated in the objectives itself. Now it is limited. You know, it is limited only for online transmission of the grievance to the concerned department or the authorities concerned. Of course, whenever there is delay, they remind the concerned departments about the pending grievance of the pensioner also. Even when the grievances are not properly disposed of by the concerned officers, DOP and PW has to intervene in such issues and suitably advise such officers. So that is here. I would like to mention a few examples. In one case, a pensioner is yet to get his 7 CPC revision. That is in terms of Department of Pensions OM dated 12/5/2017. I am quoting just one example. There are hundreds and hundreds of pensioners who are yet to get the 7 CPC benefits, who are in most of the cases, the OM dated 12/5/2017 is yet to be implemented. I would not like to go into details about the officers or the pensioners who have retired from a particular office, in whose case implementation of that particular OM is still pending. Here, just for reference, so we registered a grievance saying that in case of a particular pensioner, that 7 CPC recommendations are yet to be implemented with reference to OM dated 12/5/2017. The grievance, of course, was forwarded to the concerned department, and the reply given by the concerned department is just agreeing to the fact that it is pending with them. That's the reply they gave. How could that ever satisfy a pensioner? If any department agrees, yes, it is pending with us, it will not satisfy anybody. So instead of saying what action they are going to take, instead of settling it within a time frame, they just said it is, yes, we agree, it is pending with us. They did not even say when they will attend to that. There are several other cases, many, because for the last so many years, we have registered hundreds of complaints, hundreds of grievances on stipend grants. But this is not the case with all the grievances that we have registered. I am quite sure of that. Only 2 examples I give. In some cases, one lady pensioner, family pensioner, she is yet to be paid arrears of family pension for 2 years amounting to 90,000 rupees. We have registered grievance for 3 occasions. It is yet to be settled. She was paid the revised family pension from 1/1/2018, and she has to get arrears for 2 years from 2016 and 17. Arrears are yet to be paid. In spite of whatever, every time a grievance is registered, the concerned administrative office, I would not like to mention the name, the concerned administrative office simply forwards the grievance to the PAO concerned, and the PAO keeps quiet. They don't take any action. And do you know how the grievance is disposed of? The administrative office says, because we have forwarded the grievance to the PAO concerned, which is supposed to revise the pension, which is supposed to pay the arrears, etc. If the case is not pending anymore, pending with us. Yes, it is not pending with them. But is it not the duty of the administrative office concerned to see that the grievance is settled, some action is taken by the PAO, and PAO to the satisfaction of the pensioner? That is not forthcoming. It would be, so I would like to mention, because I already mentioned, this is not the case with all the grievances that we register. It would not be fair on my part. Due credit is not given to the portal and SIP and grants, and if no mention is made about the usefulness of the grievance redress system. Majority of the grievances registered by KPT and PA was settled to the satisfaction of pensioners. In one case, the grievance was disposed of within 3 days of his registration to the complete satisfaction of the pensioner. So it is quite useful also. So, and finally, on the large subject, urgent need to frame recognition rules for pensions associations by the government. The fifth CPC had observed in its report that the Department of Pension may evolve a suitable mechanism to regulate the number of pensioners associations and identified effective ones, which only should be consulted on policy matters concerning the pension community. The memorandum submitted to the 7th Pay Commission by the Bharat Central Pensioners Confederation, BCPC, finalized the meet held on 14/6/2014 in Chennai under the joint auspices of BCPC and NCCP, convened by Comrade K. Raghavendran, now General Secretary of All India Postal and RMS Pensions Association and Vice President of NCCP also. Under the leadership of the legendary leader, the late Comrade S.K. Vyas. Then he was the Secretary General BCPC and NCCP. So it was pointed out in this memorandum to 7 CPC by the BCPC that there are hundreds and hundreds of pensions associations and organizations in the country. I am extracting this particular paragraph from the memorandum submitted to 7 CPC by BCPC. It says like this: there are hundreds of pensions federations, associations, organizations in the country, and there is no orderliness amongst them, and each and every pensioner organization is raising its own demands. Therefore, it was suggested that the 7 CPC may recommend to the government to upgrade the status of this COVA like the other forum of National Council of JCM, with separate rules framed for granting recognition to pensions associations to give them representations in this COVA. All India Pensions Federations, Associations, Federations may be accorded recognition and extended such facilities as have been granted to the serving employees, associations, unions, federations, etc. Bharat Central Pensions Confederation, BCPC, was established as a result of the initiative taken by the Coordination Committee of Central Pensions Association, Karnataka, in the year 2006, when the 6th Central Pay Commission called for submission of memorandum by all the stakeholders. Sri Bhaskaran, our leader, the former General Secretary of the Coordination Committee of Central Pensions Association, Karnataka, he was prompted by the remarks passed by the 5th CPC, which said that they had received so many memoranda submitted by so many associations, and in the open meeting, the 5th CPC remarked that who could we call for a discussion when so many associations present so many memoranda? Which one should we take into consideration? And who represents whom, we don't know. So that was the remarks passed by the 5th CPC. So prompted by the remarks of 5th CPC, our Comrade Bhaskaran on so regarding submission of memorandum by several pension, etc., etc., he took the initiative to do submission of one memorandum to the 6th CPC, prevailed upon leaders of the national level to agree to come together and organize a meeting of representatives of Pensions Association on 15/10/2016 in Bangalore, in which a consensus was arrived at and a draft of common memorandum to be submitted to the 6th CPC was discussed, and a broad understanding was reached, which ultimately resulted in submission of one memorandum. That was discussed further. It was discussed in many meetings held in Hyderabad, Kolkata, Delhi, etc. Finally, it was decided. I'm telling about 6 CPC, not 7 CPC. 6 CPC. In the same meeting, recognizing the necessity of forming an apex body of pensions associations at all India level. Then there was no BCPC there. A draft memorandum of association and rules and regulations for its functioning was introduced, which was discussed and adopted in a subsequent meeting held at Kolkata, paving the way for formation of the All India apex body. In many of the opinions expressed by the pay commissions and by BCPC, NCCPA and other associations, it is strongly felt that there is an urgent need to form recognition rules for pensions associations on similar lines as that of the recognition of service association rules, the RSA rules 1993, in respect of service unions notified on 5/11/1933. But the provisions of RSA rules 1993 will not be in toto applicable to pensions associations. They have to be quite different from that. I mentioned here only about the RSA rules 1993 because initially I think I should mention that when this RSA rules 1993 was introduced, we did not initially agree. It took almost 1 or 2 years to implement these RSA rules 1993. In fact, I would even say that there was some opposition to that. Finally, all of us agreed and they were implemented. Anyway, so the proposal, that is proposal regarding recognition rules for pensions association, wider consultation with coordination committees and pensioners associations before a request is made to the government to frame such recognition rules for pensioners associations, as such rules are sure to have a far-reaching effect on the present associations. We have to necessarily take all of them into confidence, all who matter. So, I would like to conclude by thanking Comrade K. Raghavendran for inviting me to speak on the topic today, and all the participants in the webinar for giving a patient hearing. Kindly excuse me if I have bored you. I again thank all the participants for giving me a patient hearing through the presentation. Though the presentation was rather lengthy. Thank you all. Thank you once again. Thank you, Comrade Raghavendran.
We have heard a very lengthy but very informative speech on the topic from Comrade Krishna Rao. His speech automatically explained how experienced he is in the affairs of the pensioners movement and also about SCOVA and pensioners portal and all that. It's very difficult to narrate all the experiences in such a short time. But still, taking the time constraint into consideration, Comrade Krishna Rao has covered all the important aspects. He was critical. At the same time, he was appreciative of the positive aspects of the mechanism, how to improve it further. All details he has very elaborately touched before us. Really, we are highly thankful for Comrade Krishna Rao to take up this responsibility in a very short time. We did not give him sufficient time also. Very short time only we could give. Even within that short time, he could explain the issue to the satisfaction of all our comrades. Of course, there are questions. I have noted some questions prominently. There are 4 questions. And I am sure Comrade Krishna Rao will answer those 4 questions also. After his answering those questions, 4 questions, I will try to conclude the meeting if Comrade KK and Kuti has nothing to add. Those 4 questions the first question is whether SCOVA has any statutory powers like National Council JCM. Why bigger pensioners associations representing large number of pensioners are left out from SCOVA? Its nominations are purely on the whims of the government. What action is proposed to be taken to remove such irregularities in selection process of SCOVA non-official members? This question has been raised by Comrade M.Z. Khan, State General Secretary, Jharkhand. He has also asked another question, whether government is considering separate rules of recognition for pensioners. These 2 questions are raised by Comrade M.Z. Khan. Namakkal, Tamil Nadu, Comrade Ramasamy has raised one question, whether digital life certificate is compulsory. Whether digital life certificate is compulsory or manual form is enough. This is the question by Comrade P.K. Ramasamy, AIPRPA Secretary, Namakkal, and Comrade Rajaram, Dindikal District Secretary, AIPRPA, has raised an important question. What is the impact of new labor codes on pensioners and pensioners associations? These are 4 questions. I would now request Comrade K.V. Krishna Rao to answer them in that order.
Thank you, Comrade KR. Regarding the SCOVA, as we all know, now SCOVA, the department, as you made in your remarks, in your opening remarks, and now also, nominations to SCOVA, that is done only by the Department of Pensioners and Pensioners Welfare. Nobody else has got any role in that, especially the pensioners associations. And the board condition, as I've already, the condition is that you should be identified the NEGP. Unless you are identified under the particular plan, you will not be able to be nominated to SCOVA. And because the norm is followed, you are identified under the NEGP plan. There are whenever an application, they call for applications from the pensioners associations all over the country. And whoever makes the presentation, they come for inspection of they find out the number of the association. Credibility also. Sometimes they examine the credibility also. And then only they are identified under the national e-governance. And for all those associations, as of now, 44 of them are under the NEP and they get 75,000 rupees as the grant in it. So only for that purpose, once we get the grant in it, our accounts are subjected to audit by the government. Then you leave that. That is no problem at all. SCOVA as of now, it as we don't want to say I think there is a country, I understand, committee looks election is only among those 44. And in future also, suppose the else is identified as an association under the pensions board. That association only will be what we are now doing. Pensions association have been functioning for the welfare of pensions association members rather. Members of board pensions yeah, they usually select from association. Why? Representation to all the there are already there is no thought. Other associates being identified as so nomination opposing the department of I don't we can't do anything at all about score. Pensions also there should be a separate team. Hello. Hello. There is some background noise. Background noise. Don't know whether I'm being heard.
Are coming in the phone.
Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
You are audible.
Just coming. Yeah.
Yes.
What was the other question?
There is one more question I would like to answer. That is Comrade Rajaram has raised that question. I will read that question to you. Is there any mechanism to monitor the implementation of orders issued by the Pension Ministry? In the absence of the same, the implementation is very delayed and tardy. This is a question from Comrade T. Subramaniam, President Coimbatore AIPR. He wants to know whether there is any mechanism to monitor the implementation of orders issued by the Pension Ministry.
Comrade KR,
Yes.
எல்லாரையும் mute பண்ண சொல்லுங்க, இல்லைன்னா நீங்களே மீட் பண்ணிடுங்க. ரொம்ப டிஸ்டர்பன்ஸா இருக்கு.
Yeah, I know that. I know.
ரொம்ப டிஸ்டர்பன்ஸா இருக்கு.
Okay. This is the last question. Okay, Comrade Kisarao, you can proceed.
Okay. Regarding implementation of the orders issued by the Department of Pensions Welfare or Pension Matters. That is the question. Sir,
ఆన్లైన్ మీటింగ్ వస్తుందండి.
Department of Pension, Total Department. Yeah.
Comrade Kisarao, your mic is.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Yes, it gets automatically muted sometimes. Okay, no problem with that. So regarding the question of implementation of the orders issued by the Department of Pension Welfare on pension matters. The Department of Pension is the nodal department and the ministry, Pension Ministry is the nodal ministry, as we all understand. So the pension department decides on the pension policy and implementation of the orders, various orders issued by the respective and the successive pay commissions also. So what is the responsibility? The question is, what is the responsibility of the Department of Pension? Is there any procedure for the pension department to pursue the issue further when it is not implemented, when there is any delay? My dear sir, I was mentioning about 2007 issued for pay of pre-2016 pensioners and revision of pension at 50% of the notional pay. These orders in some of the departments are still to be implemented. It is almost more than 3 years now. Likewise, 6 CPC order OM dated 6/4/2016, granting minimum 50% of the minimum of the pay scale and grade pay thereon for pension, and revision of OM dated 28 January 2013. These orders also were not implemented immediately. No doubt, some officers, some departments, some PAOs, some CPAO, rather PAOs only, some PAOs did it. I would like to mention, not to pat on anybody's back. I made a mention in one of these COA meetings when a particular circle, postal circle, implemented the 6/4/2016 order within 2 months. The DDG who was present in the meeting personally walked up to my seat and thanked me for revealing the information for compliments given to the department, particular department in the meeting. So some departments do that, but the fact of some is absolute delay, and there is no mechanism. Pension department, their responsibility when they issue orders or any particular pension department does not have a mechanism
रानी कहाँ है? तुमसे जब कहा तुम भी नहीं आई उस समय.
Only we can give.
अरे नहीं तो हम तो फिर तुमको इसीलिए तो कॉल कर दिया तुमने.
Any particular order, but it will be only in respect of the individual. So far, I don't find any associations taken up.
नहीं
Implementation of any particular order. issued by the
दो बार
department
कर चुके हैं.
as such. Registration mechanism.
2 बार कर चुके हैं.
My dear, so there is no mechanism, the Department of Pension, to oversee implementation of any order on pension matters by it. This is the position as of today. I don't think it would be possible also for any department of the government of India for that matter, whether it is the Department of Pension or the Department of, for example, implementation of revision of pay scales, implementation of orders pertaining to grant of increments, etc., issued by the Department of Expenditure. Can the department oversee implementation of all the orders issued by it? There are departments in the government of India. There are so many heads of departments, and is it possible for any particular department, say at the national level, like the Department of Expenditure or the Department of Pension, for that matter, the Department of Personal Training, these are the three important departments, the DOP and DOE, really issue regarding the option. So I would like to again say that there is no such reply to the question raised on the issue. Now coming to the digital life certificate, there is one question. Submission of digital life certificate. Shall I
Hey.
Comrades, why don't you?
क्या मतलब नाम जिसका है, अरे जिसका नाम उसी का ना दिलाएगा. हाँ तब पीछे नहीं जाएगा. हाँ उनका भी नाम तब कहेगा खाली नहीं कहेगा नहीं भाई खाली नहीं. जहाँ जहाँ आएगा तस्वीर उसमें डाल देना.
Comrade Khan.
Shall I continue? Shall I continue, Comrade Raghavendran?
Yeah, you can continue, comrade.
Okay. Now I come to the question regarding submission of digital life certificate. The question raised is whether it is mandatory. No, sir. Submission of digital life certificate definitely is not mandatory or compulsory, whatever term you would like to use it. That Department of Pension has several times made it amply clear that submission of certificate online, that is the digital life certificate, it is only an additional facility made available to pensioners. You can continue to submit your life certificate in the physical format, that is a paper format. So the earlier procedure of submission of life certificate in physical format, the form is available in all the PAOs, pension disbursing banks, pension disbursing post offices. So you can demand and get a form from the postmaster or the bank manager. You can just sign and give it to. But only difference what we should understand is this: submission of digital life certificate is very, very convenient for a pensioner, especially who is unable to go out of his house. If you want to submit a life certificate in the physical format, you have to necessarily present yourself before the pension disbursing authority. That is either the bank manager or the postmaster. Physical presence is necessary. Whereas when you prefer submission of a digital life certificate, your physical presence necessary only for the digital life certificate operator. You yourself can do that from your residence. If you have all the facilities, a computer, one instrument to capture your biometric evidence, or your a device to scan your iris. Hello. From your submission of digital life certificate is quite convenient. Now, the Department of Posts also now they have introduced that life certificate at the doorstep. To the postmaster, he sends the postman to your doorstep, and the life certificate, that is also a digital life certificate that is generated at your doorstep. So this the additional facility, digital life certificate is just an additional facility. If you want to submit in digital format, you are at liberty, sir. No pension disbursing authority can compel you to submit a digital life certificate. Thank you.
சரி படிச்சு பண்ணிடுறேன் ஒரு 5 நிமிஷம் கொடுத்தா
On behalf of all the viewers and also on behalf of the All India Postal and RMS Pensioners Association, I would like to profoundly thank Comrade K.V. Krishna Rao for not only elaborately touching the topic of the seminar, but also taking the pains to reply the questions, important questions. Some more questions are there regarding demands of the pensioners. On that, we will deal with each and every issue later. Mr. Rao had elaborately replied all the questions also. So on behalf of all of you, I would like to once again profoundly thank Comrade K.V. Krishna Rao for taking the pains to attend our meeting. In a short time, prepare the topic also, and he has done justice to my estimation. Comrade Krishna Rao has done full justification for the topic he has taken. Once again, I thank Comrade Krishna Rao. He should also, in future also, be present in our seminars in order to interact and all that. So with these words, I profoundly thank finally once again Comrade Krishna Rao, and I request Comrade K.K.N. Kutti, Secretary General of NCCPA, to have a few words before summing up of the meeting. I request Comrade K.K.N. Kutti.
Thank you, Comrade KR. Are you listening me?
Yeah, everybody is listening you.
Okay, thank you. I would request everybody to mute their mic because we had a lot of disturbance during this discussion. And it's all caused by the people who have opened their mic and they were going on talking. Now also it is coming. Therefore, it will be very difficult for the others to listen and understand what exactly is being talked of. I am really thankful to Comrade KR and the AIPRPA particularly for organizing such a seminars, and they have decided to hold these type of webinars almost once in every 3 months. We will be getting an insight into the contemporary issues that's concerning the pensioners. Today he has selected a subject which is of very concern, may not be for the ordinary employees or the pensioners, but maybe of concern to the organization. You know very well that JCM came into being as a result of the confrontation that the central government employees had with the then government in the post-independent era, perhaps in 1960. After the 1960 war, the government realized that there should not be a constant confrontation between the employees and the government, who is the employer. So therefore, they decided to have a negotiating channel, a channel for discussion, a channel for intercourse of ideas. That's how the JCM came into being. But you also know today the fate of that JCM today. It's almost defunct now, almost non-functioning, except in limbs and this thing. So it is not exactly the lack of machinery or the evolution of a machinery that's not important, but how it is maintained, how it is allowed to function, that is very, very important. I don't think that in the days to come, they will allow such type of intercourse of actions between the organization and the administration, unless otherwise there is a change of attitude in the minds of the people who are ruling us. I do not know when it will come about or whether it will come about or not. It has not come about in the post-independent era voluntarily. It has come about because of actions. It was almost like a reaction. So therefore, pensioners' movement has to make themselves active. If they are active, then things will definitely have some improvement. Will have some a different situation. Today, Comrade Krishna Rao has very profusely, with his rich experience, he has told how the SCOVA is functioning. SCOVA's functioning is far from satisfactory for many of us. The selection of the candidate who is to speak, the selection of the agenda which has to be introduced there, and the way in which the All India organizations are disregarded, these are all matters of concern for the pensioners. Then what are they discussing over there? It is more of a paying eulogy for the people who are presiding over that meeting. This is what I felt about it. JCM was having representation in SCOVA when it was formed. Then why the JCM was taken out of that particular ambit, I don't know. Nobody perhaps is in a position to tell it. So therefore, I think the conclusion of this meeting, or perhaps we should do something very seriously about it. I would request AIPRPA and I assure Comrade KR that NCCP will definitely be associated with that. With the help of people like Krishna Rao and many others who are experienced in the field of pensioners and pensioners problem, we should evolve a methodology of how SCOVA should function. Not like that as saying that, look here, this is the way in which it is functioning and this is the improvement we wanted. But we wanted a setup, how that setup will have to be. Of course, JCM can be a model, but it need not necessarily be a full-fledged model because there are a lot of pitfalls in that. But taking away all those things, we can evolve a particular system and present it to the government for whatever worth it is. Naturally, government is not going to accept it, but we will see what has got to be done about that matter in the future setup or in the future course of time. So my submission to all of you, my submission especially to the leaders of the IPRPA and also the people like Comrade Krishna Rao who are experienced in this matter, I would request every one of them to put their heads together. It is not, I am not excluding myself or I am not excluding the NCCPA from that. it will be definitely an integral part of that exercise. Let us submit a paper how the pensioners' problems will have to be brought to the notice of the government, how it has to be discussed, and what should be the methodology in which the problem can be resolved or should be resolved. Individual problem, you and I know that it is very difficult to be discussed at the national level and then decided upon. There is nowhere it is possible because crores of lakhs of pensioners are there and no forum can discuss that matter. Of course, pension adalat is something which has come about, which may perhaps address this issue. But then we can have, you see, there may not be much of a regional problems, there may not be much of a departmental problems as far as pensioners are concerned. It is all the more common in concerning. So we would request them, we would request every one of you to give your feedback to the organizers of the seminar and see how best we can bring about a setup of how SCOBA and pensioners movement can function in future. These are all the one single suggestion which I would like to present very forcefully before you. And I am sure that let us do it for the posterity, because what has been done by 1960 and 64 by the leaders of the central government employees movement in bringing about a machinery, a permanent machinery for negotiation. Quite number of us have been the beneficiary of that. We could resolve many of the issues. Otherwise, today, you know that hundreds of court cases are going on because there is no resolution to the problem. Nowhere it is discussed and nowhere it is finalized. At the highest authority, no consideration of the problems are arising. That's why it goes to the court, and court, you know very well that it is a very procrastinating affair, and that is why people are getting fed up with that. And therefore, it is very high time that we should think about very seriously of quickly resolving the problems of the pensioners, their common issues, their common problems, then how it will be. Secondly, last but not the least, I wanted also to tell you that the present pension system and the present pension methodology or the present pension benefits, that are making us to think in terms of having some discussions with the government. But there is going to be a generation where no such thing are going to be possible, because you know there is going to be a defined contributory pension system that's come into vogue. So I think a fight, a struggle against that particular action of 2004 is very much required, and that pensioners can definitely play a very vital role in that fight. And I'm sure that we will, when we evolve that thing, I think it will also be one step further in the fight against the system. With these few words, I express my gratitude to Comrade KR and the AIPRPA for giving me this opportunity of talking to you for a few minutes. And I profusely thank Comrade Krishna Rao, who is a very veteran in the field of the pension and pensionary benefits, and for the fine organization that he has built up in Bangalore. I had the occasion to go over to Bangalore. I was actually given the privilege of inaugurating their new building, a very beautiful building they have constructed there. So that is the way the organization is functioning in Bangalore. It must be, I do not use the word eyesore, but it is a cynosure of all eyes for all pensioners movement in the country. And I am sure that Krishna Rao and his friends and his colleagues and comrades were responsible for building up such a strong movement. And I am sure that he will continue to give his valuable assistance for building up a very strong pensioners movement and also a negotiating machinery for them. Thank you very much, comrade. Thank you once again for giving me this opportunity. Thank you. Thank you, comrade.
Thanks, Comrade KKN Kutti. Really, Comrade KKN Kutti has lightened my job. He has given a very valuable additions to some of the speech, to some of the seminar. I am afraid if I delve into the issue, I may not do any justice to the issue. Comrade Krishna Rao has very elaborately touched the subject, and Comrade KKN Kutti has given the sum up. I would like to add only one sentence. Whether it is JCM or SCOBA or anybody, the bureaucracy and the government, they should have the inclination to solve the issues presented before them. If they want to drag on the issue, yes, they can drag on the issue. They have got umpteen number of avenues for that. If they want to sort it out properly, yes, they can sort it out. Whether it is COBA or JCM, there are deficiencies we definitely know. And Comrade Kuti and Comrade Krishna Rao, both of you have pointed out many such deficiencies. And the only remedy, what is the remedy? Remedy is a united functioning. There are umpteen number of pensioners associations in the country. CGPAs, All India associations, coordination committees. There are so many pensioners associations. Some are in the SCOVA, some are in the pensioners portal, some are not recognized by the government. There are no recognition rules by the government. Therefore, all the pensioners organizations should find a method to join together. Today, one X or Y may be there. Tomorrow, X and Y may be omitted. Therefore, all of us should join together and raise appropriate issues after prior consultations amongst us. How to improve SCOVA, how the efficacy of pensioners portal can be further improved, how recognition rules can be there for pensioners organization, what are the methods of selection of the representatives. There is a one positive aspect in JCM. The representatives of the organizations are not selected by the government by pick and choose method. The recognized federations are asked to nominate their representatives in the JCM. That is the proper method. All the organizations should be recognized according to a formula, and once the recognition is granted, they should be given the facility to nominate members to the representative organizations so that the pensioners' problems can be dealt with. Therefore, one is the inclination of the government and the bureaucrats. And secondly, the organization should have a say. That is real democracy. In a democratic country, the government cannot pick and choose. Today, they may select one organization which is to their liking, which is formed as a paper organization. Tomorrow, that organization may not be there. Therefore, the pick and choose method in a democracy should not be there. There should be a proper, transparent, acceptable norms. And that is what we like to insist upon. And with these words, I would like to conclude. I thank Comrade KB Krishna Rao for taking the pains to attend our seminar and give an elaborate speech on the topic and also the question answers, and Comrade KK Kuti, Secretary General NCCPA, for being present throughout the meeting and able to give the sum up also. And I thank all the leaders, including Comrade Nambudri, who could not come back because of his preoccupations. There are many CMC members. There are many CGPA general secretaries like Nagpur. I could see some of them in the meeting hall also. There are many CMC members. There are many AIPRPA state secretaries and district secretaries and members. I thank all of you for making it a successful seminar. And I request you that in the days to come, we have to depend on technology only. We cannot organize any such seminars directly. Therefore, kindly spread the news so that more and more people can join in such seminars in future. Therefore, kindly, you should make it, you should take upon the responsibility on yourself that kindly spread the word in all the groups that all should join, technologically improve, and they should be present in all future meetings. I thank once and all of you for joining, and I thank Comrade Krishna Rao and KK Kuti, and I thank everybody for the success of the seminar. Thank you, comrades.
Excellent.